Alright, so manje sikhuluma nge-superposition of pulses. Okay, so lento le ikhuluma ngani? So siyeke sonke lesingisi esibhaliwe la. Yiloko ozokubhala uma bebekubuza ukuthi states le principle ye-superposition of pulses. So ihamba kanjani? La kukhulunywa ngokuthi kunama pulses azothi uma ehlangana abe endaweni eyodwa, same space at the same time, endaweni eyodwa ngesikhathi esisodwa. Masa ayahlangana akhe ipulse enkulu kunalawo mabili noma encane kunalawo mabili. Uma ehlangana akha ipulse enkulu kunalawa kade ekhona, kunegama lakhona esiyibiza ngalo. But uma ehlangana and they result in a smaller pulse, nakhona futhi kunegama lakhona. But ke ukuhlangana kwabo bayibuka ngeso le direction, which is why bethi algebraic sum. Mawuthi algebraic awumane uthi, for example, let's just say kukhona ipulse positive ne negative, mhlawumbe ne amplitude e5 cm omabili. Awukwazi ukuthola phela i-resultant pulse uvela uthi 5 plus 5 wazi kahle eyodwa ibibheke phezulu enye ibibheke phansi. Le bheke phezulu izosala i-positive ibe u-positive 5, le bheke phansi ibe u-negative 5, which is why kuthiwa i-algebraic sum of the amplitudes, which means i-principle of superposition of pulses ikhuluma nje specifically to ama-amplitude alama pulses azohlangana. Alright, lama pulses lawa, they have to occupy the same space at the same time, which means azoba endaweni eyodwa ngesikhathi esisodwa. Ngaloso sikhathi azohlangana abe ipulse eyodwa. Angidwele. So singaba nepulse ekanje and then sibe nenye ekanje, yabo? So say azohlangana somewhere mhlambe la. Azohlangana la. So let's just say the amplitude yala is 7 meter and then yala is 6 meter. So the principle of superposition of pulses is chelutin. Isitshela ukuthi bazohlangana laba, lo umeya ngala nalo umeya ngala, bazohlangana at some point, and then uma behlangana they will create one big pulse, yabo? And then leyo pulse yona izobe i-amplitude yawo izobe u7. Alright, so uma ehlangana azowenzani ipulse enkulu. Sazoyichaza ukuthi uhlobo luni le disturbance leli la kwenza khona ipulse enkulu. But i-superposition of pulses ikhuluma ngalento ukuthi uma ehlangana ama-pulse amabili kuzokwenzeka ipulse enkulu, but sometimes iyenzeka kwenzeka ipulse encane at that moment in time, momentarily. Okusho ukuthi after that uma sebehlangene laba bayilento bazobe sebehlukana futhi emva kaloko ayiqhubekele no6 wakhe ayile, ayiqhubeke no7 wakhe ayile. Yabo? Which means they go back to the original amplitudes. High low 13 centimeters, or a combination or the algebraic sum of the two pulses. Remember, a pulse is a single disturbance. So lama disturbances la umabili, they join together. Ayahlangana enze I disturbance eyodwa okuyinhlangano yabo bobabili. Alright. So sezochaza manje the different types of ama disturbances. Ukuthi mehlangane kanje sithi yini, mehlangane kanje sithi yini. But wena, your job is to remember ukuthi superposition of pulses, it is the algebraic sum of the amplitudes of the two pulses that occupy the same space at the same time. So ziningi indlela ongayichaza ngayo lento, because as you know, mawubheka kwama textbooks, they are not explained or they are not described ngendlela efanayo. Okusho ukuthi le ndlela le uthisha wakho athi wena iyona efanele i-right nayo. Remember, they all mean the same thing. Usetshenziswa amagama nje ahlukile ama-synonym alezinto ekhulunywa ngazo la. So hayi ukuthi umqondo wayo usuke usushintshile, indlela abazoyibhala ngayo ehlukile, but umqondo wayo i-definition isafana. So this is a principle of superposition of ama-pulses. Ekhuluma ngokuthi uma kuhlangana ama-pulses amabili endaweni eyodwa ngesikhathi esisodwa kuzokwenzeka i-pulse enkulu noma encane. Asambe siyobheka ukuthi kwenzeka kanjani uma kuhlangana i-crest ne-crest noma i-trough ne-trough. Okay, now constructive interference. Asizoyichaza ukuthi enjani ke le interference le. Okay, so this is when asiplan. So this is when so it's two pulses meet, or so it's when two pulses meet or join or combine kusebenzisa leli gama to form a larger pulse. Ziningi indlela lokuyichaza, which means mekuhlangana nje ama-pulse amabili they result in a bigger pulse. Yabo? Okay, so ake siyichaze ke lento le graphically. So kungaqhamuka nansi la so we could say 4 centimeter 3 centimeter. Yabo? Izolingana nani ke at that time la izohlangana khona kuzophuma eyodwa ezobani 4 plus 3 which is 7 centimeters. Yabo? Iyona constructive interference. Remember phela ukuthi i-crest le elanga phezulu, because remember ukuthi mayime kanje the highest point la yini i-crest sithi nje na equilibrium la, and then bese ukuthi la at the lowest point kube yini i-trough. Wakhohlwa lokho. Le pulse le eyodwa yenza i-trough mayingaphansi kwe-rest position, mayingaphezulu kwe-rest position kuba yini i-crest. So la mehlangana ama-crest amabili kuba yini i-constructive interference. Yabo? But ke ngifuna ubuke la kuyenzeka ngesinye isikhathi ukuthi kuhlangane ama-trough womabili resulting in even larger pulse. Yabo? What's the blue? Okay, so la le plus le, you know? And then we could say, remember le. Okay, see, still nala city 4 centimeter, nala 3 centimeter, you know? But okay. Lana phela khumbula ukuthi la the resulting amplitude kube i-algebraic sum which is positive 3 plus positive bani 4 uphume bani positive 7 meters or centimeters njalo. Yabo? So ngalana i-algebraic sum injanje ibheke phansi, so it is negative 4 plus negative 3. Nakhona uzophuma negative 7 centimeters, which means le ekuyona ezoba larger izobe ikanje, and then i-amplitude yakhona 7 centimeters nakhona, but ke siyazi ngobheke phansi uzoba negative. That's the only difference. But in both conditions, the constructive interference, when two pulses meet, they result in a larger or a bigger pulse. Na larger kuhlangana pulse out 2, they make a bigger one. Na la kuhlangana out 2, they still make a bigger one. Ukuthi direction kanjani, it doesn't matter. Inkinga iqala whereby they're in opposing directions, which means kukhona positive ne negative or a negative ne positive. La ilasifika khona ngini kwi destructive interference. Isetshenziswa nakhona uma usu understand ini I principle of superposition of pulses. Asam siyibheke. Alright, so asichaze manje ini I destructive interference. Yini ke yona la nakhona it is when two pulses meet, resulting in a smaller pulse. So la hlangana ama-pulse amabili, and uma sihlangene i-pulse ezokwenzeka izoba ncane kunawo womabili lama-pulse. Okay, ake sizame ukuyivisualize lento. So singaba nikanje, and then kuze enye ezoza kanje. Okay, remember they have to be opposing, angithi? So le mhlambe ibo positive 5 centimeter, label negative 4 centimeter. Yabo? Okay, and then buka negative does not need ukuthi ubhale, so bhala umasibala. Yabo? So siyazi ke the resulting amplitude is going to be the algebraic sum. Yini le i-crest, so positive 5 plus yini le i-trough, so negative 4. Yabo? So 5 plus negative 4 minus, no, it is positive 1 centimeters. Yabo? So le ezowenzeka uma laba behlangana yile ezohamba nje kanje. Yabo? Ezoba just with positive 1 centimeter. Yabo? Yona laba uma behlangana benza lo oyedwa omncane. Okay, so asize ngala nayo manje sichaze ini yona but ngenye indlela. Ake sithi kuza i-crest le ngala ukhona enye i-trough. Yabo? And then lo 6 centimeter, 5 centimeter. Uma behlangana nakhona the algebraic sum is i-crest, i-trough njalo le. So minus 6 plus i-crest plus 5. Minus 6 plus 5 minus 1. Which means lo minus 1 usitshela ukuthi isangaphansi. Yabo? Minus 1 lo. Isangaphansi. Because lo positive 1 usitshela ukuthi ingaphezulu 1 kwe-rest position. The original position la kade medium ikhona. La ama-particles of the medium la kade ekhona. So if they are displaced above the rest position, it becomes i-crest. Kodwa uma they are displaced below, kuba yini i-trough. Yabo? If i-trough is always negative, i-crest it is always positive. That's to the lin pump. Okay, so draw the resulting pulse. So manje si busy nama practice problems of the superposition of pulses. Siyazi lapho ukuthi yini, angithi the algebraic sum of the amplitudes of two pulses occupying the same space at the same time. Iyona definition le. So u-A la siyabona now ama-pulses awu-2. Ama-pulses awu-2 le it is going on that direction and le is going on this direction. So uma eza kanje obvious azohlangana somewhere. Angithi la azohlangana khona i-amplitude enjani. So check ukuthi are you dealing with crest only or troughs only or both. Asibheke ngela. Na i-rest position la. Rest position, and the displacement of the particles is above the rest position. Okusho ukuthi yini le i-crest, yini le i-crest, ama-crest amabili. Uma kufana kuba yini i-constructive interference. Siyichazile i-constructive interference ukuthi ile kanjani. It is when two pulses meet, resulting in a bigger pulse. Angithi? So lama pulses asosuphendula A. So nangu-ke la futhi izohamba nje kanje. Obvious the algebraic sum i-amplitude enkulu izoba positive 1 plus 1 angithi ku-1 u-2 meters, which means nje le izothi singidwebe ezansi kancane izothi yeah, kanje izohamba kanje, and then this would be positive 2 meters. Yabo? So le mabehlangana laba, they will give you low. Laba uma behlangana, as you can see ngala, we have a positive and a negative. So automatically we have a destructive interference. So ungakhohlwa ukuthi le kwenzeke ini i-constructive, la kuzokwenzeka i-destructive. So the resulting amplitude for laba is positive 2 plus negative 8, which is just 2 minus 8, which is negative 6 centimeters. Yabo? So uma sesiyiphendula ke le sizobhala nje ub sithi negative 6 la isans, and then la negative 6 centimeters. Yabo? Okay. Wena nje ubuka la usebenzisa i-principle of superposition of pulses, i-understanding yakho yokuthi mekwenzeka i-constructive interference kwenzakalani, uma kwenzeke i-destructive interference kwenzakalani. So le eyak B was i-destructive interference, le eyak A was i-constructive. Sibona ngani? Sibona ngokuthi la we were dealing with ama-crest awu-2, ama-pulses are-positive womabili. Obvious uma wahlanganisa in a positive manner azokunikeza an even bigger pulse, which is why it was construct. Remember, to construct into is to build, yabo, to make even more of low okhona. We had 2 pulses, each representing an amplitude of 1 meter, but ahlangana we had 1 pulse manje, but of 2 meters, which is a combination yalaba bobabili. La we were dealing with a crest and a trough, akamsilani. Therefore kuzoba algebraic sum of the 2, the final resulting yayo i-pulse le, which is 2 minus 8, negative 6. Why kubo negative 6? Ngoba u2 akakwazi ukususa u8, which is why i-answer igcina negative, which is why the pulse le below in the rest position and not above. Ukube be positive njengale bese idweba ngaphezulu kwe-rest position, but kumele sidwebe ngaphansi because of i-direction yayo iyini i-trough, which is a negative pulse. So mawudila nama resulting pulses mawunigeziwe awu2, uyazi ukuthi wena step 1 uyabheka ukuthi what type of pulses are you dealing with. Number 2, you choose ukuthi is it constructive or destructive. Number 3, you calculate the resulting amplitude. Number 4, you draw. Okay. Yabo kulula kanjani, but ke you will get more practice as time goes by. Asibuyele phambili. Alright, asichaze ke la i-wave ukuthi yini kahle kahle i-wave. Sasifikile ke manje la. Yabo? So la bathi i-wave is a periodic continuous disturbances that consist of a train of pulses. Of a train of pulses. Isimela sama pulses. Ilula kakhulu nje lento. So ake sithi nje le kuzoba i-rest position yethu. Yabo? I-rest position le. So yini siyazi nge-rest position? We can get ama disturbances above the rest position and ama disturbances below. The ones that are above are called ama-crest, which means nje le iyodwa is a pulse. Yabo? What type of pulse? A crest, angithi. And then we can get one ingaphansi. Kube yini lena? Le. I-trough, angithi. We can even get one more of ini, i-crest. Yabo? And then asiqhubeke nje lena. And then singaphinde sithole futhi of ini, i-trough. Kanjalo. Yabo? So ama-pulses lawa ewodwa, yabo? So the more ama-pulses join, you get what we call a wave. Yabo? One wave is a collection of one crest and one trough. Ukusho ukuthi kusukela la one crest, one trough, which means this makes one wave. One crest, one trough, another wave. Yabo? So the more, so kahle nje uma sithi many pulses is a wave, gives you ama waves. Yabo? But one pulse is just a pulse. Yabo? So lena ngidwebela is what we call a transverse wave. Yabo? You remember what is a transverse pulse? Sizochaza futhi again, because the same definition applies to a transverse wave. Because remember, I-pulse is a single disturbance in a medium. But a transverse pulse is a pulse whereby the particles of the medium move perpendicular to the direction of motion of the pulse. Okusho ukuthi sesiyazi phela i-wave ukuthi ama-pulse amaningi ahlangene angithi. So a transverse wave is now a wave whereby the particles of the medium move perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. Yabo, but sisazoyibhala nayo phansi. Okwamanje nje wena understand ukuthi ama-pulses amaningi they create ama-waves, which means multiple pulses or multiple disturbances they create any waves. Yabo? So the more pulses you have, the more waves you get. Yabo? Which means lama pulses la amaningi, they have to have a lot of energy for them to travel larger or longer distances. For example, think of amagagasi and itsunami. Regardless ukuthi amagagasi akhozwa yini, regardless ukuthi itsunami ikhozwa yini, and they are still both pulses, and the more they pile up, they create waves, and the more waves pile up, tsunami. So ekugcineni kosuku nje ama-particles of amanzi asuke emile kanje la kulo line of black kwi-rest position, but the energy which is passing through makes the particles go up and down while wona eyaka right or left, which is why they are perpendicular. Uze sifike leyo term le esitshelayo ukuthi this is a transverse wave. Yabo, ngoba sisazoya kwamanye ama-type of ama-wave esiwabiza ngama-longitudinal waves. So lawa ama-transverse. So now you know what is a pulse, you know what is a transverse pulse, you know what is a wave, you know what is a transverse wave. Sisazoyibhala futhi nayo definition yakhona manje. And then from there on you'll be able to understand ama-waves kahle. Njengoba nje nawe usukuthinta emanzini athule, and then kube khona ama-ripples ahambayo. The ripples are caused by the pulse le esukayo from la point of contact between wena namanzi. La uthinte khona iqala lapho i-ripple angithi. Asidluleleni phambili. Okay, now the transverse wave we're going to define, but I'm sure Usuya has already definition lesisho manje sayichaza khona manje. So says it is a wave whereby the particles, the particles of the medium move perpendicular or at right angles to the direction of propagation of the wave. Remember, a transverse wave, what does it look like? It looks like into a spiral. Njengenyoka. Ihambela nje kanje i-transverse wave, ungakhohlwa nje lokho. Yabo? Ihambela nje kanje. Yabo? Which means up and down angithi ama-particles, but i-direction of motion mhlawumbe iya kanje. Yabo? But ama-particles alelele eight one, up and down, which is why you have amagagas phezulu aye phansi. Aye kanje aye phansi. Why emotion iya le? Yabo? Yona into emele uyi-understand-ke lapho ngama-transverse pulses. Yabo? So esizochaza-ke manje, esizochaza is what we call i-amplitude bese siyichazeni. So let's just say nje la nayo i-rest position, and let's just draw asithobe iwave eyodwa nje. Yeah, so kule wave le kumele sazi ukuthi kumele sidwebe amabili ama-wave in order ukuthi ukwazi ukuyibona ini i-wave length. So nansi ini i-rest position, sizothi 1 wave, 2 wave. Okay, ama-wave ke la. Okay, kuzalingane mhlampe singathi, and then la mhlampe singathi, yeah, they look like ayalinganayo manje. Okay, so i-wavelength ngisazoyichaza nayo, but ufuna uyibone visual ukuthi i-distance is the length of one wave kahle kahle, yabo, i-wavelength leyo isi-representa ngo lambda, yabo, yona symbol yayo. It is a distance between two consecutive, qonda ukuthini consecutive, ukulandelanayo, two consecutive crest or two consecutive troughs. Kanje i-wavelength le siyayazi ukuthi i-distance le kuba yini, i-amplitude le, angithi. So kusho ukuthi la i-wave iphela la iphinde iphela ama-waves awu-2 lawo, yabo, because manje we are getting on siyofika kwi-wave equation. So yonke into ethu kumele siyi-understand ngawo ama-waves, but specifically la to a transverse wave. So manje sambe so-define kahle-ke i-wavelength, si-define i-frequency and the period of a wave. Alright, so ake siyichaze-ke yona le wavelength. So la ngibhalela ama-definitions also. They both mean the same thing, but achazwa ngendlela engafani on different textbooks. Yabo, mhlawumbe khona ngendlela yesithathu omunye umuntu echaza ngenye indlela, but into ozoyinaka ukuthi i-meaning iyafana. So yokuqala ithi i-wavelength is the distance between any two adjacent points that are in phase. And then le ithi the distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs of a wave. Ake siyidwebe i-wave ukuze uzokwazi ukubona. Okay, i-rest position le. And then we can draw i-wave yethu. Okay. So see, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you get a wave. Yeah. So, you have a distance between any two adjacent points. Starting up, I'm adjacent point. I'm a points I landed now. I saw the lane. Yeah, but two that are in phase. Yeah, obviously, bleach my points. Alright, so D to E to F, sifake nje la sithi G la H. Yeah, now my points is now points that are in phase. My points anjani lawo. My points that will reach the equilibrium point or the rest position at the same time as the wave is moving. Sichaze futhi lo nto. Njengoba i-wave ihamba iyangale. Kunama points athinta la. For example, u-A mayihamba i-wave uzothinta la ngenkathi u-C esethinta khona, ngenkathi u-E esethinta khona. Uyabo? No B uzothinta la kwi-rest position ngenkathi u-D esethinta khona. So i-distance between ama points which are in phase nansi iyona wavelength yakho. Therefore nalaba nje bayiyona i-wavelength, but le it suits both lawa ngoba the distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs of a wave, ama crest lawa awu2 a consecutive alandelanayo, and ubude mosuka kuleyo kuqala uye kuleyo sibili i-wavelength. But lama crest omabili the points are in phase as well, so it suits both definitions. What if there was a point la and that's it to Z leli point. Leli point leli u-G no Z, the distance between G and Z, the distance le, the distance between G and Z is also a wavelength because u-G no Z will reach the equilibrium point or the rest position at the same time. So now corner, but this applies to only this definition kuphela, hayi le engezansi. So I'm sure you understand that the difference between lama definitions are two. Uma sikhuluma ngama crest nama troughs, both definitions apply, but uma sikhuluma on other points on the wave which are still in phase, therefore lapho kwenzakalani, it applies. Yabo? asidluleleni phambili. Alright, so chazela the difference between i-period ne-frequency. Abanye bayakuphambanisa, abanye bayakhetha into eyodwa, kuhlukile. So i-period, first of all, the period is cut. Yabo? From the time it takes to like A get B most of the time. But lana, the period is the time taken for two consecutive crests to pass a fixed point. Okusho ukuthi asesinayo ishandisi la nali ipoint la. So le wave mayiza ngala kuzofike kudlule leli point leli le crest le kudlule nale. So kuzodlula nenye futhi the time it takes ukuthi kudlule ama crest awu2 nje kuphela i-period yakho. Because remember that distance between two crests is the wavelength. Okay, fine. And then, if frequency gain, the number of waves or pulses passing through a fixed point per second. Okusho ukuthi kuleli point ke manje asinendaba ukuthi ama crest awu2 na azodlula khona isikhathi sakhona i-period cha. Kuzodlula ama wave or ama pulses amangaki kuleli point nge-second. Mekuthiwa a fixed point, it means leli point alibuye lishintshe lize la. Li-fixed, limile endaweni eyodwa, alinyakazi, aliyindawo. Therefore, wena nje you're just recording the number of waves azodlula khona nge-second elilodwa. Or the number of pulses. Remember the difference between a wave and a pulse. A wave, a pulse is a single disturbance in a medium, but a wave, it is a periodic, continuous okusho ukuthi ayaqhubeka lama pulses lawa ngithi ngakho beze bethi it is a train of pulses. Why? Mawubuka isitimela kunama carriages amaningi ahlangene enza le sitimela esodwa. So nayo le wave yenziwa ama pulses amaningi aform iwave eyodwa. Into ayenzayo nje they just passing the energy from one to the next kuphela. So i-period yakho, it is the time taken for ama crest awu2 to pass through a fixed point. Kanti i-frequency ukuthi mangaki ama pulses azodlula kulelo point lelo eli-fixed. Phela iwona umehluko lo. And ama formula ahambisana ne-period nesikhathi. Period and frequency is inversely proportional. Mhlezi ngokuchaza u-inversely proportional ukuthi it means ama quantities awu2, in this case period and frequency. When one increases, the other will decrease. Or when other decrease, the other will increase. Are opposites. So if formula between its frequency is equal to 1 all over a period, which is T. And hence its period is equal to 1 all over UF. Yeah, it's a very sense. But I'm opposites of each other. Yeah, so you know a frequency. It is measured in hertz, Hz. And isikhathi is measured in seconds. Therefore, if you are given in any other unit, you convert back. Lo hertz, lo ofana no seconds on a -1. But we don't use le siyisebenzise le hertz. And then after that, now any formula also depending on ukuthi unikeza frequency, you can get the period. Mawunikeza the period, you can get the frequency. Kuya ngawe ukuthi usebenzisa yiphi formula. So I'm sure you understand what's the difference between a period and a frequency. A period, it is the time taken for two consecutive crests to pass a fixed point. Kanti a frequency, it is the number of waves or pulses passing through a fixed point per second. Ngona phela nje umehlo uzomela ukukhumbule mhla uyobhala ngoba oyedwa wabo ngenzeka bambuze and mawungasamazi kuzoba inkinga because you will lose amamaka amabili. Asidluleleni phambili. Alright, so seriously, now my practice problems they get concerning any period and frequency. What is the period? Period in Toba when T low the time you never of a wave of frequency 10 Hz. Yini period yini frequency kata sichaza manje. ukuthi i-period it is the time taken for 2 consecutive crests to pass a fixed point. And the frequency le abasinikeza yona ewu-10 Hz, it is the number of pulses passing through a fixed point nge-second elilodwa. Yabo? So remember, we have the formula ethi frequency is equal to 1 over t, or we have any formula ethi t is equal to 1 all over f. Yini esifunayo wethina? They want the period, which is t. So we use le formula le. So it's 2 marks, so don't stress. T is equal to 1 all over f. Check which f wakho is it in the correct unit. Mele abe ngama hertz, angithi, and banginikeze ngama hertz. So T is equal to 1 all over 10. I got the 10 nje. So T is equal to, it's either file calculator or there was umbani 0.1 seconds. Yona final answer. 2 marks nje lo. So it's not something angamele uyijulukele kakhulu, yabo. Wena bakunikeze i-frequency bafuna i-period. Uyazi ukuthi i-frequency and period are inversely proportional. So uma bekunikeze oyedwa ukuze uthole umunye ithi 1 over leyo number uzothola lo abangambuzanga, yabo. So wena nje into ekumele uyikhumbule to remember lama formula, but either way akhona ke kwi formula sheets yakho on your exam question paper. But the more you practice, the more you won't need formula sheets. You might need data sheets because it entails mass of the earth, the Planck's constant, the electron charge, electron mass, yonke lonto leyo angithi ngeke uzukwazi ukuyibamba ngekhanda. Ngisho ukuthi upractice kangakanani ungabamba lawa amancane here and there, yabo. But when it comes to ama formulas, the formulas don't change. Ahleze nawe. You will practice until when they become a part of you. Kube lula ukubhala without even looking back. Lapho you are more than prepared for i-exam yakho. Yabo. Asidluleleni phambili. Alright, so now we imbuzo again later. What is the frequency? So from f. Remember you have f is equal to 1 over t or t. Or t is equal to 1 all over f. So we're going to the formula oyisebenzisa. So let's check it. What is the frequency? Bafuna i-frequency basinikeza of a wave with a period. Basinikeza phela uthi 100 seconds. So therefore this is the formula siyisebenzise. Asiyeni khona. So remember again ngiyaphinda futhi le nto iyozibe sicefe kodwa uzuyazi. I-frequency, it is the number of waves or the number of pulses passing through a fixed point per second. Lo definition jwayelile uyisho njalo. And then asiyeni ki-period. I-period, it is the time taken for 2 consecutive crests to pass a fixed point. What marks bamahala lapha. So every time mawenza ama questions ubona igama elithize olaziyo li define. Fast either ngenhliziyo or say it out loud. Kukwena li define. But at the end of the day usul define mhlambe ka-20 nangakusasa uphinde uphinde. Uyosefike la for i-exam day already lelo usuyalazi ngisho ngavuswa ngo-4 ekuseni. So yini frequency uzositshela kalula because you've done it for so long uyayazi lento. So for 2 marks we've chosen the formula siyisebenzisa, which is f is equal to 1 all over t. Yabo? Because you know frequency and period are inversely proportional. So f usezobubanika 1 all over t uba. It is the 100 seconds abasinikwe 100. So f is equals 1 divided by 100. 0.01. I-frequency imeasurishwa ngani? Ngo-s negative angelo, but we don't use le. Yabo? Sebenzisa u-Hz, which is u-hertz. Njengokuthi kanje u-hertz lo ba abbreviator to Hz. So for future reference uwazi ukuthi lo hertz engilibele ngikusho ilento le. Units of measurement yani ye-frequency. angithi uyazi ukuthi the number of pulses passing through a fixed point per second. I-period, the time taken for 2 consecutive crests to pass a fixed point. So ngiyacela ukuthi ulebele uphinda nawe ukusho uyi-describe i-wavelength, ubuyele emuva, i-superposition of pulses, i-pulse, i-medium, wonke lawo ma-definitions kumele abe la ekhanda lakho. I-constructive interference, i-destructive interference, ukwazi ukubhala yonke lento ungayiboni ngoba kwi-exam at least 5 yabo bazokubuza ukuthi uyibhala ungayiboni, and u10 marks lo ongeke uzo-afford ukuluza. Uyabo? Asidluleleni phambili siyodila manje ne-wave equation.